Not the intro I'm looking for.
Recording.
Good morning. Alright. A beautiful brisk morning in Illinois. Yes, sir. Yeah. We're still missing some people. Welcome. I know we haven't had a safety meeting in a while, so we thought we'd get everybody together, cover some stuff. Gloria's going to have her safety topic as always. I'm sure Dave will chime in. I got some housekeeping stuff to go over. So we'll try to keep it brief and happy. And as always, it's always open to you guys to ask questions and make comments. We're going to hit a topic that's probably going to be a lot of comments on. So we can handle that separately when we get to the bike curve, the new system. So we can handle those one-on-one because there's a million one-offs on that. Like people do like funky stuff. So we can handle those separately because otherwise we'll be here all day in this meeting. Real quick, we'll start with good news. You guys now accrue vacation time. Yeah. So the way it works is that you get 1 hour for every 40 hours worked. So it's based on your actual worked hours, not like your guaranteed hours. So that's why the new system tracks your hours so that we can accrue your vacation. So as of March 1st, you can start using it. We ask generally a 7-day notice. So just like a vacation, you schedule it ahead of time, use it. We know there's going to be, stuff that comes up, and we'll work with you on that. If something comes up last minute that we have to adjust for or whatever, but we just like a little heads up so we can, plan for it and schedule. In the actual policy you guys got in your folders the other day, it says that we are allowed to deny it if there's too many people. So obviously that makes sense. Everybody can't go on vacation at once. So it's all new to us. So we're gonna make it work. But the things to keep in mind, that again, it accrues based on your actual work, not guaranteed hours. And in the system, I spoke to Cliff. At some point, it'll start showing in the on the app. It'll start showing how many vacation hours you have to use. Stuff like that. The other thing to keep in mind is that you can accrue up to 40 hours and then you stop accruing. That's the state law. So, and it does roll over year to year. So say you didn't use your vacation, it rolls to the next year, but again, it stops at 40. So if I end the year with, say, 15 hours and I roll it, as soon as I hit 40, then next year, with including that 15 hours, I stop accruing. So you really kind of want to use it and not roll it over because it'll hold you up accruing eventually in the following year. Yes.
So it started the beginning of the year.
Yeah, we started tracking the hours as of January 1st, and then you guys can start using it as of March 1st.
But the times aren't right. They said to fill the bubble sheet on the right time. So are they going with the bubble sheet?
Yes, yeah, it's being tracked.
Not the thing right now.
Yeah, it's being tracked off your time sheets, not the bike curve, because that's not fully up yet. So we are tracking all your vacation accrual hours. So, but there's kind of things to keep in mind. Again, it goes off your actual worked hours, not guarantees. 7-day notice, and it stops accruing at 40. So those are like the big major points to remember on that. And normally if you take like 3 or more days off, you have to come back with a doctor's note. That's excluded on here. So if you do take 4 days vacation, you don't have to come back with a doctor's note, which is like the norm. If you call off for 3 days, you got to come back with a doctor's note. So that's exempt if you do a vacation. Yep. Any other questions on vacation? Very straightforward.
How long do you know till we get it here? I mean, not get it, but how long will it take for them to get the app on?
Cliff will be here today or tomorrow. I'll find out for you guys. But he said that they're working on some way so you guys can track it. Because right now it's being tracked at court, but we'll find out a way to have you know what you got. Yep.
That includes parents too?
Everybody. Yeah, anybody that works in Illinois, it's actually a law that Governor Pritzker passed. So it's not, I'd like to say it was us and you're welcome, but it's
the whole crap.
Yeah, it was the whole state of Illinois. No matter where you work, you're going to accrue vacation time this way. So, yes.
How on March 1st you decide to take 40 hours, a whole week? Will it go negative and we owe you guys? Or
No, you gotta use what's banked.
Only, okay, so there's no credit?
No,
Okay.
Yeah, because that, and that leads me to my next point that is normally vacation time, historically, like if you left the company, it would get paid out. With the new law, it's not part of that. So if you leave, you lose it. So most of the time what's that?
What did you just say?
So by law, when you leave a company, usually if you have vacation time, it pays out when you leave. So with this new law, they didn't build it in that way. So if you leave, you lose your PTO.
Is that with pay?
Yes, of course, yeah. PTO, paid time off. Yeah. Any other questions? Good on that? Yes, sir.
At what rate are we being paid?
Your driver rate. Yeah, your base rate, yeah.
So 4 hours, right? 2 and 2, 4 hours?
Well, it's based on whatever hours you have accrued.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
We can use it like if I got spring break, I can go into use the 4 extra. So the spring break and.
Yeah, so one of the things I was gonna talk to Cliff about is that, if you're not scheduled, if you can use it, so I'll get back to you guys on that. But that'd be a great idea, so if there's, holidays or time off, you can definitely use it to backfill, backfill those days, cause and it's great for us then, cause you don't have to call off on an obvious day, so it's a good thing, for everybody, we're gonna try to make it work, so, it doesn't affect service for our customers, and, we still get the kids to school, and you guys get that extra perk. All right, so we're good on that?
Very good.
You guys all got this in your packets, right, the other day?
We gotta sign it and return it?
Yeah, you gotta sign in and return it, so if you haven't done so,
Okay.
please do.
It's a little-
Okay, so if you didn't get one, just see dispatch and we'll get one for you, okay?
That's a big deal. They're not green, so we did put them in people's folders, so
Yeah.
they're the green sheets in your folders, okay?
Yeah. So, if you didn't get one, just see dispatch, later on. All right, the next topic, my favorite one, bike curve, our new, punching in and out system. So this morning I looked at it, before I came out here, we had everyone but 4 people punch in, so that's awesome. So all the drivers in pair, only 4 people missed, and I didn't dig enough to see if there were, huh?
Only 3,
3?
because you punched me in, but it's wrong time.
There you go.
That's
So we're gonna continue to work on that. We're close to switching. Like I said, Cliff, the guy who is setting it up for us, will be here tomorrow. So the better we do, the faster we can switch. Are you guys liking it? A lot better than the bubble sheets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what about if we forget to punch out and think about it like 30 minutes later?
Getting there. Give me a minute. I have the answer right here. So, so with the new system, like obviously it's gonna track your vacation. There's a couple little things though that, people have been asking about and you guys may have noticed. And so when you punch in, it's tracking your actual hours again, because we track it for vacation. So until somebody goes in and verifies it, which is usually one of us back there or Shelly, it'll show your actual. And then when we verify it, it bumps you up to the guarantee. So say you have a 2-hour guarantee, but you actually worked an hour and a half and you're gonna get bumped up. For a day or two, it might only show what your actual, and then once it's verified, it'll bump you up. So, people freak out like, oh, it's stealing my money. It's not, it just, it takes a day or so to get bumped up to the guarantee. And at the end of the week, we re-verify it again to make sure that everybody got their guarantees and all that stuff. The whole purpose of this is that it should match your timesheet. So whatever you're getting paid before is what you're getting paid now. We just went digital, and we got away from the horrible scantrons that we did every week. So you guys have to just build some muscle memory to remember to do it. In and out every day. I haven't punched the clock in forever, so I know it's tough to get in that habit. But you guys are doing great, and we just got to keep that up. So the question that was asked about if I forget to punch in and out. So we're all used to the green sheets. We're switching to a white sheet. So it looks very similar to the information that was on the green sheet, but it does have an additional spot for missed punches. So you'll see it on there. And you also have the option of when you get back from route, if you forgot, you can mention it to them. But they'll probably have you do one of these forms so we can keep track. In the system, when Shelly does verifications, it actually shows who punched it. If it was you or if we adjusted it. So it's kind of like a fail safe that if you're ever like, hey, this is wrong, we can see, oh, it was us or you. It keeps track of who punched you in and out. So it keeps everybody honest, as you can say. Yeah, Shelly?
Do not put them in the mailbox, they need to be turned into dispatch.
There you go. So not in the mailbox, the dispatch, so we can address them right away. So, yes,
Now, I work in Northbrook,
yes, ma'am.
so they go by their clock.
Yes, that's a whole different kit and caboodle. I'll talk to you separately about it.
Okay.
So shared drivers have a few more steps to jump through, so we'll take care of that. Yes, David?
When you go to punch out, if you're really late on punching out, can't you just punch out at any time and press 0?
Yes, let's get in there.
Alright.
So, so you guys may have noticed sometimes, everyone's in a rush. So, you may have noticed when you go to punch in sometimes, it won't let you. That's because there's a 5-minute window, before your shift. So if you're scheduled to start at 7, you can punch in from 6:55 on. Now on the backside, there isn't that restriction. So say I go do my route and I get stuck in traffic and I get back 15 minutes late. When I go to punch out, it's gonna pop up that menu, you guys may have seen it, and it's gonna have a bunch of options of what happened or why. So like fueling or traffic or extra work, so stuff like that. And so you'll just use that. If it's something like you forgot to punch out, there is option 0 that says punch me out at my scheduled time. So if you catch it, like, you know, like 10 minutes, you sat down, you got coffee, you're like, oh shoot, I forgot to punch out. If you hit 0 option, it'll punch you out at the time you were supposed to punch out.
Oh.
And then if you completely, you know, missed it, then do one of these and we'll fix it for you.
Are there gonna be more options than what's on there?
No, that's it. There's a ton of options. There's always other, which we
There's
don't.
no option for traffic or weather or anything?
Yeah, there is. I'll double check, but I've seen it on there. It's just traffic. Yeah, you gotta scroll.
Oh, it's not just what pops up?
Yeah, you gotta scroll. Use your finger.
I do wanna add too, if you don't mind, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I wanted to add though, let's just say for an example, if you do get called for a random, we'll have a sign-up sheet back there. We will need you to check in and check out, because those entries, in order for you guys to get paid, will need to be entered manually. So somebody could be there for 5 minutes and somebody could be there for 2 hours and 55 minutes. So we just, when you're back there and you're called, whenever it is, if you're called, make sure that you sign in on that sheet and you sign out, okay?
Yep. Which
So
brings
thank
bring,
you.
thank you. Which brings me to my next point. So if you do something outside of your normal task, say it's last minute, like we gave the example when we first started this, it was snowing, so we were calling in, you know, the mechanics on the fly to, you know, help plow or whatever. There is a list spot on here for a task that wasn't, you know, in your normal system. So you can always add it and then again turn it into dispatch and they'll approve it and add it in there. We like to be ahead of it. So like say like today Morgan's picking up a new bus that we got coming. So if you know about it, we'll try and, you know, build it in there so you can clock into it. If it's something that happens on the fly, then you can always add it yourself and then we'll add it post fact. So some people think that if they miss it, oh, I'm not getting paid. There's an option. So we can always add it after.
Can't you put something in there for non-revenue instead of have like this, like above, like you can put
Yeah, so
non-revenue that you could put?
yeah, we're playing with stuff like that. You'll notice today, you guys are gonna put it on your timesheet, and there's a sign off going around. So today we're just gonna put it on timesheet. We didn't build it in. I'm gonna talk to Cliff about how that works. So how to build a task for that kind of stuff. So
So
there's
it's just
work
there.
code. Yeah, there's work codes for all this stuff. So we're learning as much as you guys. So we'll get there though. And we're also talking about streamlining these processes. We're doing stuff like the video as well. So there'll be more to come on what that all looks like.
If you have to call, if you have to clock in somewhere else where you're not, it won't let you clock in because you're supposed to be here, but you're.
Yeah,
here.
if there's like a one-off situation where you're not where you're supposed to be, yeah, you can call in and they can manually do it.
Okay.
So that brings up the next question though. Kind of a weird word, geofences. So geofences, I've had a few people like, oh, I can't punch in, and they'll be, you know, on the road somewhere. So the geofence works that it keeps track of where you are. It's not that it's tracking you, it's just making sure that you're here to where you're supposed to be to clock in and out. So there is a handful of people that like park out, stuff like that we can lift it. But for the most part, you have to be either here or at Libertyville or one of the bases for it to work. And if you're scheduled, like if your route is scheduled here, it even won't let you punch in at Libertyville, even if you can on the clocks, but on your phone it won't work. You have to be where you're supposed to be to punch in and out, stuff like that. Yeah.
So on the options, because I was noticing, like, it always asks you if you don't get back at whatever time it, whatever. There's more than one reason why you wouldn't, so would you go with like the last one? Like the last thing you did?
Pick
Like
the,
one of it would be traffic, one of it might, I mean,
yeah,
you might
pick the
have
one
to-
that fits best. So
Okay.
I got stuck in traffic, then I had the fuel.
Okay,
yeah,
cause
just
it
pick
won't
one.
let you do more than one.
Yeah,
that's
just
why.
one. So
Okay.
I'll probably go with fueling on that because it'll show you, and the GPS will show you stopped at the pumps.
Yeah, and I wasn't quite sure, so I wasn't pushing other all the time, so I didn't know.
Yeah, that doesn't give us any info. So yeah, I would do fueling.
Okay.
So the other thing that's cool with this program is that everybody that's working on a route, we assign you a bus, and the system knows. So say you punch in at 7, it knows you're going to pre-trip. You're going to hit the gate at 7:15 and go do your route. You're supposed to be at your first stop at 7:30. It looks, yep, she got there at 7:30. It's super cool for like my end for managers. Even when parents call, we can pull up the route, be like, yep, it's one stop away. She's right there. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop where before we had to go like log into the satellite system to go find you, look up go into Traversa to pull your route to figure out where you're supposed to be. So it kind of like it bridges the gap on everything. So it's like payroll, GPS system is built in there. Your schedule, like it's a lot of stuff that like kind of for us it's huge to kind of keep track. I mean, like we're outnumbered like 3 managers to 400 drivers. When you think about all 3 companies, so it's a lot of people to keep track of. So this is like a huge tool for us, and it's nice because like sometimes like last week I found a driver that kind of made up their own route. So yeah, so like you look in the system and it doesn't match. You're like, what's going on? So driver is like, hey, it works better this way. And so we want to try to, if there's changes always, you can let us know if something doesn't work or works better. Just let us know, because what happens is you call off and someone else does that route. They're gonna run it the way it's on paper, and then parents are calling that the bus driver was on the wrong side of the street or came the wrong way, and chaos. So it's totally cool that if changes need to happen or if you have suggestions, Tiffany and Kathy are more than happy to make those adjustments. But we just need it to match what you guys are doing, and now even more so with the system, because if like a parent calls, hey, where's the bus? And I look, and you went rogue. I got to tell that parent I don't know what they're doing. So we just want those changes. If you have any in the system, and I've been doing this for 8 years, and I don't know why, but drivers struggle with that. Like they want to keep it secret that they're doing a route differently. Just let us know. It's worse that if I send a sub out and then they find out the route is completely backwards or something. So it's not a big deal. Just let us know. We'll gladly adjust that route as long as it's safe and it works. And some of the districts do want approval, so we'll have to run it by the school first. But we'll work with you on that. But it's better to make those changes than to find out on a call off day that something's screwed up. I've done it. I covered a route one day and like every stop was on the wrong side of the street. And parents are like, give me dirty looks. I'm like, I'm just following the paper. So, yeah, so that's all, it all ties into this. So, we're kind of joining the, 2000s, technology-wise. They were getting there. So the technology is kind of catching up to the bus industry. So, so this is like the first step towards, kind of having this all automated. So, in a way with those silly bubble sheets.
Can I chime in on Biker?
Sure.
All right, sweet. All right, so I'm going to introduce myself because normally I go by Dave Armbrecht, but today I am the bad Dan Gwelly. So I just want that for the video. My name is Dan Gwelly. If you're mad at me, see him. So the reason I say that is because this system, sometimes you're going to feel like it's like Big Brother watching you, right? But you got to remember, we take kids to school, right? It's super important that we can find children when we get the call that says we're missing our child. They were supposedly dropped off or whatever. So now we can make that happen a lot faster. But I want to warn you of 2 things that have already happened. One, we had a really interesting conversation that people said there's no options to say why I was late. The person had their font on their screen so large that there weren't options. They had to scroll for like 8 minutes. Right? So know that your device is going to be limited to what you do with it, right? So just let us know, because everyone has options to mark whether they're late or not. The second thing I want to call out is We've had a couple driver scenarios already where we call in the driver and say, we're just curious. Why do you stop at 7-Eleven? Then you go to the coffee shop. Then you go here and you were done with your route already. You're just really walking on thin ice there. Like we're not here trying to catch you or take 2 minutes away from you. We want to pay you for what you work. But if you're not working, please find a way to get more hours if that's what you want. A lot of people will go to dispatch and say you got more hours and they say no, or they go to all the way through the management chain. By the time they get to me, I'm hunting these guys to get you guys hours. You know, because if you're hungry to work, we're proud of that and we want to make that happen. But that is a form of stealing. So of course we sat down with that employee and we said, you can't stop at 9 places and expect to get paid for it. You dropped off your kids, 45 minutes ago. And then the next day they drove like 20 miles an hour all the way from a far distance. So, and we picked that up because it instantly says there's something wrong, because here's the thing. We didn't need the system to catch you, because the person that catches you is the other 8 buses that already got back from the same school, right? I mean, that we're seeing that. And we're not talking about drivers that are extra safe. We're not talking about 5-10 minutes. These are just things that are like deliberately done. So just be really, really careful for your own character, for all that different stuff. And I know this is kind of a negative message, but at the end of the day, I feel like we work in an industry that is paid by who?
Government.
It's by our tax money. So if you live in this community right now and you steal from the community, you're only stealing from you, right? Literally how that works, right? Because a company's going to open up and they're going to get a profit margin. The only reason they can keep the doors open is that they keep that profit margin. If all of a sudden 50% of our staff started taking time like that, then that just means we're going to charge the customer more, which means ultimately going to charge you more. And the way we get competitive and be able to have the system we have is that we're honest. And we are an honest community. Honestly, this corporation is something I'm very, very proud of. I work for a district. A district has to be honest. They can't make profit, right? If you go to a school building, they can hire more teachers, but they can't create more income and then pocket some. They go to jail for that. Right? We happen to work for a contractor that is really, really part of a community. We give back to the communities. We donate to their special needs programs. So we want you to be a part of that situation. So if we call you out, it's time to say, hey, here's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And if you need more time to do something, take it up with the team. If you disagree with them, come to me. But at some point, sometimes we have to turn to you and go, you can't do that. So on the reverse side, I've had at least 10 people come to me and say, I don't want to get paid, but I want to get here early, get my keys early. I want to go out and pre-trip my bus, and I want to do some things, get coffee. I get it. I can't punch in early. That's illegal. If I ask you to go do a job, I have to pay you. If I ask you to come to a meeting, I thought it was because you guys like me a lot and just think I'm very entertaining, but I have to pay you. I don't have the right to even call you in my office about discipline and not pay you. I have to pay you for everything. And that's right. I wouldn't work for John if he didn't pay me, right? And so the same difference goes for you. I want to make sure you're being paid accurately and regularly. And so if you need more time for safety, for kids, for students, that is a reason. If you need more time because it's a luxury, that's not a reason. And we have to determine that. So feel free to negotiate that, right? I do it every year. Every year, my boss comes to me and says, I'll let you borrow a minivan every once in a while to go on vacation. I go, can you make it a Tesla? We have that conversation every year. I still don't have a Tesla, but I do borrow the minivan every once in a while. But it's just those negotiations are healthy. And so I want you to fight for you and what you need, and I want us to listen and our team to listen. But at the same time, if you got away with it because we had a Scantron system for years, I'm just suggesting you stop, because eventually the alarms are going to start going off. And I just don't want you to be stuck in that situation. It's not fun. So, yes.
Now, if you on your way home and you already have punched out your, regular scheduled time, and you want to stop by McDonald's or something, is that okay? Once you
Yep.
punched out?
10-7s are always okay, yes.
10
So,
seconds.
yeah, it's called a 10-7. So, it's like, hey, I'm letting the team here know I'm stopping, and it's not because of emergency. It's not because of anything bad. I'm just stopping. So, yeah, we have a lot of home vehicles, and I always say it's just easier to get on the radio and go, I'm pulling the 10-7. And now people don't ask. They're just like, all right, cool. Stopping at the grocery store on the way home, whatever. We pretty much tolerate and allow most of that to happen when we know about it. It's when we don't know about it that it raises a conspiracy flag. Like, why is that happening? Right? So just let us know. Anything else? Awesome.
All right. I have a couple quick announcements, and then we'll let Gloria actually get to the safety portion of the safety meeting. So tomorrow we're having our Valentine's Day party. It is an ice cream social, starting at about 10 o'clock. So I know it's like 25 degrees out, but we're gonna have ice cream. I don't care. While they find Gloria, do you guys have any general questions? Anything? Yes, Chris.
On this right here.
Yes, sir.
Now the hours, like when you do charter, those hours accrue.
Yes. Yeah, charter hours are included in your vacation accrual.
Anytime
So,
you're on the clock.
yeah, route hours. Yeah, anytime you're on the clock working, it accrues. Like I said, the only time that's not accrued in there is like if you get bumped up for a guarantee. So like if you work an hour and 45, but you have a 2-hour guarantee, that 15 minutes won't count. So, but everything else will be counted towards vacation. Yeah. So Larry.
I make it back at like 5:22, 5:23. That's the time it would take me, but I've had to choose quite a bit of times.
Okay.
Because
good point. So what's going to happen is, and Dave kind of alluded to it, if we start seeing that as we go live, if we see the same folks every day are putting traffic, we'll look at it and be like, hey, we need to make that adjustment. So that's kind of the cool thing about this is it's got 1 million reports, and we'll start seeing those patterns. And if something if we schedule something from 1:30 to 3:30, but get back at 3:45 every day, eventually we'll see it. Like we'll see the pattern, and we can make that adjustment or find out what's going on, or that parent's never there. That happens a lot. So I get held up and I'm waiting for the parents. So there's 1 million. That's why I prefaced before we started this. There's 1 million different little one-out things that we'll address as they come up. And just come to us and we'll look at it individually and get it fixed for you. Marjorie, I don't like that one.
I know when I was take Ringgate Road,
Yeah.
come back to base, I would always be behind times. I started taking 41.
There you go.
And you work for me, I was like,
Now,
so much
now with
traffic.
that, just let us know so we can update the
I
the
need
route.
to check my schedule, might even be on my schedule.
David.
Watch this face, guys. This one's
Yeah.
gonna be good. I'm lactose intolerant. Will there be sherbet?
I'll get some sherbet for tomorrow.
Yeah.
How can you be intolerant?
Yeah.
When
Remind me.
my route is finished, I
Yes.
usually take what is that back road, Sheridan Road?
Yeah.
I can do that instead of coming down Green Bay?
Yeah, just let us know. If it's something that's better, just let us know. We'll pop it in the route.
Okay.
All right. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to turn it over to Gloria for the safety portion.
Wants me to stand in front of the camera.
Hey,
I don't want to.
You
Good
have
morning.
to.
We're just gonna go over a couple things. I know we haven't had a safety meeting for so long. So we're like falling slack on pre-trip. We all know we have to pre-trip, right? You gotta write up your bus. You gotta get the preventive slip and then turn it in. You can't just build a case on your bus and then say, hey, this is what I want to fix. You gotta get it fixed that day. Because if every day you're marking the same thing, now you're relying on pre-trip, right? You're not getting it fixed. So please fix it. Fluid checks. You guys know you need a fluid check. Every single day. Not when you want to. For the ones that are park outs, you know that you have to do a fluid check before you leave your house. You can't come here and get one. That's what you were signed up to do when you sign paper, right? On the paperwork.
By the way, if anyone wants to get certified to do your own oil checks, just let me know.
It's pretty hard. You have to go like this. I have oil. Yay.
Yeah, but anyone that wants, if you want to do your own, we can definitely get you certified to do
Don't
it.
park out still have to sign that book in the.
You still gotta come once a week.
For a fluid check.
for a fluid check. They have to make sure that you are doing it correctly by you coming in every week. So that's what that's about.
So that's just once a week.
Once a week, yes.
That's how it-
I got a quick one. Anyone know what that blue liquid is in the tank in your under your hood?
Windshield wiper.
What is it not?
Antifreeze.
It's not the icer. Like this morning I was out there in the oil check line. We're like, I mean, people are bone dry, so we're using it to de-ice the windows. That's not what that's for. Scrape the please scrape the window. We're going through like thousands of gallons of windshield wiper fluid. I'll be the first to admit I've done it before on my personal car. But like, come on. But yeah, we're going through a ton of windshield wiper fluid. So just please scrape it first and then use the windshield wiper fluid.
Speaking of the defrost, the fans are used for the defrost. You guys know that, right? They're not for you. They're for the windshield. You turn them.
I didn't know that.
You turn them to the windshield so the defroster can blow it.
Summertime is for you.
I mean, when it's raining, you still need it because it fogs up.
Well, you could crack your window too.
Anyways, the fans are for the windshield. It's not for you.
In the summer, I'm like, under that.
And it blows nothing but hot air in the summer anyway, right? It's for the windshield.
Depends on how fast you drive.
We're done with this section. No more on this side. But yes, what did I get to?
The fans are not for us. That's what you get.
Free trips.
Fluid check. I do have a list of people that are doing their own to find out if they are fluid check. Because if you guys are just getting in your bus, signing it, and taking off, that's not right neither. Because if something happens, guess whose fault? Yours. You guys sign the book. You guys sign the signature at the bottom. If there's a bad accident, they're coming after you. So just know that.
Okay, well, what if people use your vehicle and they don't do a pre-trip?
Yeah.
That's what we catch.
And you know that
We
they
catch
used
them.
it because they used to get the gas and didn't fill it up.
We catch them. And speaking of the gas, that's what I'm bringing up too.
Where's Janice?
He's in the back.
How many of you guys know Janice? So
Janice, who checks the
Janice,
book?
in the midday, her sole mission is to go through pre-trips, and she compares it to the dispatch log. So she knows what bus ran when, and there should be a pre-trip for it. So she compares them. She's called me out on a few times when I've missed boxes and stuff like that. She checks every single pre-trip.
So we find out the ones
Yeah.
that don't pre-trip.
It'll eventually come up.
But you can't know directly by fuel because there
Not the fuel yet. The fuel we could
people
look
can
back.
use the vehicle
Yeah.
as long as they didn't do something stupid or late.
Right.
And especially when it comes to minivans, because sometimes I just don't want to use my own gas and I want to take your vehicle. No, I'm just kidding.
But let's say if that
use it for other
situation,
reasons.
in that situation, we would probably pull camera and see who used it last to kind of talk to the driver.
How much fuel should be in a bus or van at all times? Or
You have to pay for more.
yes. So it's happened to me a few times where I've jumped on a bus. I'm like, man, and I gotta stop at the pump. So especially in the wintertime, because if those tanks get low and there's a little bit of water in there, the bus ain't starting. So we're gonna keep it above half. You may have heard last week we had Ashley making announcements. Part of the new world of technology, we actually can see the fuel level on the computer. So all the buses through the new system we can see. So she was calling people out like, hey, you need fuel. That was just to kind of like put it in your heads that we can see it. And especially sub drivers, don't leave buses with no fuel. So if you guys borrow a bus, make sure you fuel it back up for the next person.
We have to fill their bus.
Yes.
Yeah, that Friday I was off. It was big movie to take when I got back. Monday.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to take that point. I still had to do my route. I had to go all the way out to Northbrook to go do my route.
Good question. So we recently acquired a wash truck. I know we're sidetracking from your spiel. We recently acquired a wash truck. It's got two giant hot water sprayers and a 500-gallon tank in it. So come spring, we're going to start using it. It's really tough in the winter because like you wash it and 10 seconds later you hit the road and it looks like you didn't do anything. So we're going to start that program back up. There's also a sign-up sheet up front that if it's really bad, like on the inside, we'll get some folks on that to take care of it if it needs to be mopped out or if it's really bad. But what should happen every day though?
Sweep your bus.
So let's stay on that, pick up trash, sweep it out. Yeah, and not in the parking lot. I've seen people just sweep it out into the parking lot. You want to gather it up. There's dumpsters everywhere. So let's keep those buses clean. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I've been in vans that have like maybe at least 2 pre-trip books, other than the one that's in the glove box.
So you can
Okay.
bring it in and then we could go over and take one out for you.
Yeah, how many?
I mean, it's like, cause I don't really have a van, like, I do now, whatever they give me for that, whatever. And then the other question is too, when I find stuff in the van, do I leave it in the van or do I bring it in? Because I've
Kind of
brought
stuff.
it in before.
If the van has
Or-
a steady driver, I would leave it because it's on them to bring it in.
That's what I mean. I don't
Yeah.
know who's a steady driver or what.
But yeah, so if you guys have lost and found stuff, please bring it in. There's a box over there.
Okay.
We usually donate it to the Goodwill after we hold it for a while and then we donate it. How many pre-trip books should be in a vehicle?
2.
Which ones?
Oh, one is bad, one is-
So
And the book is not the driver's, it's the bus or the van.
why do people take pre-trip books home?
They do?
They do?
I've seen that last few
Or they
weeks.
put it in their folder
Yeah.
and then that's when they go get another one because they don't know where it's at because someone's using it
So
now.
it
It's
stays.
the bus's book, it's
It's-
not your
Probably
book.
why you got
Yeah.
3.
No, it stays with the vehicle, the
It stays
current
in the
the current
vehicle.
one and the old one.
Not in your folder, it stays in the bus.
The reason, yeah, because it's because I know that, well, as they've mentioned before, that people have taken out the van, whatever,
Right.
you know, and they don't pre-trip because my name is like on every page previous to that, so I don't know.
But isn't
I
that
know,
like
I
my
know the
diary?
feeling.
It's not your diary.
It's the vehicle's diary.
It's the vehicles, yes.
Yeah, so, and also you guys may have noticed in the morning, if you guys go to the oil check line, we added a drop off there, you can hand it, to the oil check guys. There's a mailbox up front, there's one by the fuel pump, you can drop it off here when you get back in the morning. So there's a million different places to get rid of those. Someone mentioned the other day that somebody was hoarding them and then turning them all at once. So we need it every day because Janice goes through them and organizes them. If we get audited, we have to be able to go through them by date. It happens. We've had audits before where DOT comes and wants to see them all. So we need those daily. So please don't keep them and bring them in after like a month and it's like a stack of them.
That goes to even regular drivers, but usually happens with the people that take their vans home. If you guys are getting your van checked every once a week, turn it in. You cannot keep the white paper in the book. That's not a complete pre-trip. You have to tear that apart for it to be a complete pre-trip. Go ahead, Marjorie.
I have a question. Okay, for the van, sometimes when you check your own fluid, those containers is so hard to see the fluid, cause I go back to the mechanic and say,
Right.
you know, I need this and that, they say, you got enough. It's kind of, those containers need to be clean, you can't see inside of them, you can't see. You know,
And
they
it's
say,
funny,
okay, we're just shaking a little bit,
Right.
you know.
Yeah,
so I
some of them,
think-
the plastic is that yellow, so it's hard to see. I agree. Sometimes I used to use like a flashlight. And you put a
We'll see what
flashlight
Dan
to
can do for that.
Okay.
Hey, I got a question on that too.
No.
Like I do,
Decide.
I do.
Decide.
No, this is a legit
Go ahead,
question.
go ahead.
So I do my own pre-trips and fluid checks.
Okay.
There's been, cause I leave 5:30 in the morning for the first shuttle. So there's been times I was low on oil and I try to get oil. And I'm not saying any names, but I was told that I have to wait for John to put my oil in. What's the sense of me doing fluid checks if I can't have access to oil or stuff that I need to put in my bus?
Well, I'll talk to shop. You should be able to pull up and just take care of you on the spot, but I'll talk to them.
I don't know what about him, but they do mine.
See? It's preferential.
They just don't like it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just need a jug of everything.
So please turn in your pre-trip slips weekly, daily. For the ones that are home buses, vans, turn them in weekly. If you're here every day, turn it in. I mean, you're here. Drivers, regardless, you guys gotta turn it in every day. We gotta use pens, blue, black. No pencils, no
No
red,
gel.
no glitter, nothing. Any questions on pre-trip?
Yeah, can we have something to clean the containers off? Do we have some kind of solution?
Sure.
That I can clean the
We'll
containers
get it
off?
clean for you, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Accidents. You have an accident, you have to stay put. You gotta call it in. If you have let's say high school, you're at the high school, you can't take them off the bus. You have to wait for school official and all that good stuff. We have to tell you can let them off. You can't just assume that you can let them off because you're at the school.
What's the first thing you do if you are involved in an accident?
call you?
Call dispatch, and they will
Oh,
guide you.
stop.
I have
After that.
So there was an incident like that, that students were on a bus and I transferred them to my bus. I didn't call any of you guys, but I went inside and talked to security and they watched us transfer.
That was at the school?
That was at.
We're talking about on the real world. You gotta wait for
That,
somebody to
yeah,
come out.
that I knew, but yeah, cause I had security watch the transfer.
So is that okay to do? Is that what you're saying?
We still let the school know, and
No.
it's up to them, but yeah.
Because he didn't call you guys,
That's right.
so that's
Call
not
us
okay to do.
Right. Call us, so we at least know.
Beautiful smile.
All right, any other questions?
Are we allowed to call 911 on emergencies with our students? Like, the incident of somebody was choking maybe a couple months back, van driver, and he called dispatch right away. He didn't get dispatch. He kept calling dispatch. At the refreshers class that I just had, they were asking to ask your authorities, you know, you guys, the bigger people, is it okay if we are allowed to call 911?
Definitely.
Instead of, you know, waiting to get a hear from the dispatch, and then that can save his life, besides you guys, you know, by delaying the time to call.
Yeah.
You can, I mean, after the first attempt, I would've called.
Yeah,
If it's an extreme, emergency, you do what you gotta do.
okay,
But you always, dispatch is always your first, line of defense. But if it's an, immediate emergency, you do what you gotta
Okay.
do.
Yeah, 'cause sometimes there's too many.
yeah,
Where
yeah,
you at? Where you at? What's happening?
okay,
So one thing that did change, biker for refresher classes, now I have to do that too. So I put the task in. It's gonna be open, so when you get there, you can sign in and you sign out. Okay? Not the physicals, but the refresher,
okay.
just so you guys know. That's something new that you have to.
So I'm good, I don't have to sign in and sign out, cause I did it like maybe last week.
This is from today
From
on.
now on, okay.
Any questions?
How does that work for me? Cause I don't have it on my phone.
Then you fill out a white sheet.
Yes.
Okay.
Green sheet, right? Or is it
White sheet.
White now.
White now? All right, cool.
No other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Pertaining to a bus driver, any bus drivers, all the bus drivers, what is our responsibility? Is our bus our responsibility? Is inside of our bus our responsibility? Is the people on our bus our responsibility? Because, you know, I was told, I heard something behind my back, but what is the
Regarding
driver's
what?
responsibility?
All
The
of it.
safety.
All of it,
everything.
right? All of the above, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna chime in really quick. Thank you, Gloria. Hey, real quick on the shop. So shop is going through a little bit of a transition. Let's just call it that. A lot of our vehicles went over to Innovation Park, and basically we have a whole nother shop at Northbrook that we're trying to transition. That Northbrook, we're calling it Lakeside South, would handle that stuff, and then Waukegan would handle Waukegan. But the transition is that Chad and the team here still has to be like the big brother, if you'd so to say, where when in doubt, we're gonna dump it on Waukegan because we have all these resources. We have this amazing shop right here that we used to run all the buses, so for us to give up some of them makes our job a little bit easier, I would hope. But that transition is gonna take some communication, and that's communication between shop members. That's going to be a lot of fun. You thought marriage counseling was hard. Try shop members. I want you to be my eyes and ears out there. So if you get an answer that doesn't seem to make sense to you, I get the luxury of hearing when we don't do something right, or a bus isn't fixed appropriately, or a response isn't very healthy. I also get the luxury of when people do it right. I think I've been calling Michael out all day so far today. I saw him here earlier. There he is. He is the nicest mechanic I've ever worked with. Like, his responses are professional. By the way, I think we owe him a personal day for that. But it's just so nice to see that it's actually possible for the shop not to give you this answer. Oh, it's fine. Oh, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I don't know what it's fine is, but as a driver, that does not make me happy. Right? I don't understand what it's fine is. So I need you to get me involved, or Dan, or Colleen, or Denise, and report that up the chain. You ask for something to be fixed and it still seems to be deemed unsafe, ask questions. And sometimes you might have to complete your route and then come back and ask questions. But if you haven't hit my desk and still got, we're not going to help you, it's fine, then we have a different story. Because I'm not going to tell you that because I don't know how to fix a car even, let alone a bus, and I don't want to learn it. That's not my expertise. But what I do want is to be able to drive a bus with confidence. So, and that's my right. And I'm going to get you supported on that. Call me your representative, call me whatever you want. But I will not tolerate a negative response. And no response is a negative response. So I really need your support in that. And have my ears wide open for that. And yes, I can honestly tell you there are times that I'm going to turn to you and say, yeah, it's not the greatest bus in the world, but it is safety laned. It is safe. But yeah, it's rusty. Or yeah, but that doesn't mean we can't utilize the tool, right? Yes.
Who's Colleen?
Who's Colleen?
Yeah.
So, all right. I guess I'm being asked about who Colleen is. So Safeway had a stray. No, I'm just kidding. That's terrible. So Colleen is a manager here at Lakeside. She came from the name that we do not be named, Safeway. Right, the S word. She has worked as a transportation director for District 116, which is a nice lens that she worked for like one of our customers. She has worked for Durham, is that correct? And she has worked for the company not to be named. But she came over what? September, yes. So we haven't had a lot of safety meetings. So please welcome her in, introduce her the right way. Also, make sure you welcome her in on the right foot. So pretty much all complaints right there. Yeah, get her diving into the fun part of this job. But you're gonna see she's really kind of heading up Bike Curve. I know Ira has personally come to me and requested her to help with ESY. So I'm liking to hear some of that stuff. So we're gonna try our best to. We have like a 5-headed monster now, right? We have Leslie, we have Jeff, we have Denise, we have Dan, we have Colleen. It's getting to be a packed house, and that's a good thing. But that's because we have so many employees, thanks to you, that we're growing. And we're growing very rapidly. My goal is to add at least 100 buses, at least, to this location next year. So that is my goal, and if I don't make it, I'll be very sad. So help me help you, and if you hear if somebody out there needs buses, I'm more than listening. And if we got an in or a relative or something like that, we'll greatly tag on some stuff. Because the rumor is that Durham's for sale. So that's always a good thing for business when one of them decide to hang it up. So hopefully we can gather some of the work. But please welcome in Colleen and everybody else. Any more questions before I hand it over to Dan to close the door?
Yep.
Yeah, she has access to every program that we have access to. Yep.
All right. Just one last thing I wanted to remind. We've talked about it in the past. I wanted to remind you guys. Please continue to write up students and issues. Just this week, somebody came up to me and they're like, "Man, I've had it with this kid," and my first question is, "You write him up?" Nope. So it's hard to help you guys when we don't have documentation. So please continue to write it up. I love, not that I love it when kids misbehave, but I will call the principals, I'll get involved, and we try to help you guys out. But I need to be able to show that there's an issue. It just can't be like, little Timmy went nuts today out of the blue, because that doesn't, even the principal is going to be like, oh, he had a bad day. But if we can show a track record, he's been written up 3 times, and I know that a lot of times you guys will come up to me and be like, "Oh man, I've written this kid up a million times, nothing's happening." It is, but it's happening behind the scenes. So a lot of times, the teachers and principals might not come out and tell you what's going on, but they've probably already contacted the parents. I reach his hands up, she's like, So, so I see it back there. But trust me, so sometimes and I try to get back to you guys, but sometimes I call the principal and they're like, "We'll let you know," and then it takes a while to get back to me because they have to schedule if it's bad, they have to schedule an IEP meeting. They got to get the parents, the counselor, sometimes doctors, lawyers, all in one room to have that meeting. So it does take a little bit of time, and I know it's frustrating. I've been there. When I was a driver, I'm like, man, that kid's gonna. you know, it pushes your last button. But please, yeah, just write them up. And, you know, and then I can help you, and I'll do everything humanly possible to help you guys on that. Yeah, Zumi.
So Forrestal has told me that they haven't been notified about certain kids that we've grown up more than 3 times.
Okay. I'll look into it. That's all it takes. Let me know. Every shift.
And I think our role as a bus company needs to be like, if it's 3 write-ups on the bus and that same kid is doing the same thing, they need to be off the bus.
Okay. Hold on. What's wrong with that? Yeah, not that I disagree, but what's wrong with that statement though? So. To remove kids from the bus. So the issue with that is that legally, every kid is guaranteed a ride to school. They have to, you know, meet a criteria to get taken off. And this year, I think I lost count, but I've had about 6 or 7 kids that I helped get pulled off. But it takes a bit because the last thing that a school wants to do is, you know, hurt a kid's education. And there is kids out there that have issues and stuff like that, but you know, we don't want to go too far the other direction. So sometimes there's.
I did Forrestal the district lady that runs the district. She came on my bus.
Yeah. All right. Let's bring it back. All right. So guys, so please, the first step in all this is writing them up. Give me the information or dispatch. We'll get it to the school, and we'll do what we can with it. Yes, ma'am.
Is that paid time, filling out those,
Yes.
write-ups?
Yep. Yeah. If you got to sit here and write a book about a kid, well, you definitely get paid. I've seen it. I read them. Like I'll be like, man, it's a 3-pager. Like this kid's bad. Yeah.
Dan, is it that district school transportation, they can suspend the kid and kick him off the bus?
Same
But
criteria.
then- No, because
they did.
because a district will suspend them.
Right there.
Get them off the bus. Because I know my great-grandson's been suspended a few times.
Yeah.
But we can't because we're a private company.
No, we just we go through the same system, but there is like a stepping up progress where there's write-ups, discussions, and then it ends up in a suspension. Very rarely is it a one and done unless they do something like a fight or a gun or they bring a weapon. Like there's a list of one and dones where like you do this, you're off. But the behavior stuff, it takes a little bit to build up to getting them pulled off. Sometimes they'll give them a couple days suspension to, you know, because usually once the parent has to drive them in and the parent's ticked off that they have to stop what they're doing to take the kid in, usually that fixes it. But it just takes a little bit to get there. But like I said, the first step is writing them up. Please don't wait till 6 months later till you're like up to your eyebrows in hate for the kid. Like please, like just let's get ahead of it, write it up. And then also every once in a while this pops up, and I think I mentioned in the last safety meeting, is parents. We can write up parents too. So if you have a parent that comes up and is acting nutty or being abusive or doing whatnot at the bus stop, write it up. Like we don't have to take that. So I've made a few calls to principals and districts, been like, hey, there's parents every day, you know, they're at the stop every day talking smack or whatever. She got to go. So please, parents, we can write them up just like students. Report the incident so I can help you with that, and we can curb that. I always joke we have a group in North Chicago. I think Zumi's route. Where is it?
Oh yeah.
Zumi's got there's a whole community of ladies that like to start trouble at the stop. So
I got her route before. That was
yeah.
2 parents.
I've actually gone out there. I took Abby with me,
Seen you out there.
and like we stood there like security and you know scared him off a little bit, and we talked to him. So yeah, so I got your back, but we just gotta let you guys let me know on this stuff when it happens. Yeah, Mr. Larry.
On the buses that I drive, sometimes there's a little round circular disc and it got record on it.
Yes.
Are the cameras recording all the time? Or
Yes, good question. Everyone knows what that little green button does on your dash?
It tells you when you
So what happens is when you turn on the bus, usually it takes about a few seconds, but the camera starts recording, and it usually records about 10 minutes after you shut the bus off. But there's that button that if something is actively happening on your bus, you hit that green button, it marks the tape. So that when Megan pulls it, she can go right to that spot. So if a kid's acting up, just hit the button. Like you don't even have to address it. Just hit the button, and if it's nothing major. If it's something major, obviously pull over, do what you got to do. But if you just want to mark it so that Megan could go right to that behavior and see it. I had one last week. There was a kid throwing around the N-word. And, you know, so I had to watch like 4 hours of video to find it. So it helps if you guys could hit that button, so we know where it happened, so it makes it easier to track. Or if you guys when you write it up, if you guys put a time in there, it's awesome. So then I can just fast forward the video to where the incident was, and what we do is we clip it. And I feel like this whole meeting is about technology. So we got this thing now where you can download the video and we just email it to the school. Like we used to have to run physical video over to them. Now we just email it and they instantly can watch it. So
is that what the little one in the red and the blue bands? Is that what that?
yeah, some of them have like a black thing with a red button, and some it's like a silver button with a green.
Looks like a doorbell.
Like a doorbell, yeah.
Nobody ever told me that.
Yeah, I never.
Well, we've talked it a few times in the meeting. We've talked about it a few
I
times.
never knew what it was.
So anyway, so please utilize the button. We got about 5 minutes left. I'll leave it open for questions, and then we got to cut it. Yes. What's that?
No, I didn't know.
I kept wondering. I kept looking at it. I'm like, what?
Ooh, regen. I don't got time for that. All right, real quick. How many people here drive a diesel? Okay, I'll give you the brief history of diesels. So back in the day when diesels came out, you get in it and it chuck out a bunch of black smoke and they're dirty. And so about 10-ish years ago, they implemented all this EPA stuff and that captures a lot of that soot. But part of that system, what it has to do is that it has to get hot enough that it burns it and it kind of dilutes it out. So sometimes you'll see a light that comes on the dash. It's got a little temperature, like a little thermometer next to it, and people are like, "Oh, my exhaust light is on." All that is saying is that the exhaust is at temperature. Don't touch it because it's like a warning that you're at the right temperature. And sometimes you'll be driving, and you'll see a bunch of smoke come out. What that is that you hit 1200 degrees, and it's burning out all that extra soot. It's perfectly normal, and we get calls on it like, "There's a bus in my neighborhood blowing out smoke," and you try to explain it to them, they're like, "Nope." I'm like, well, that's what they do. Like trucks do it on the highway, but you don't notice because they're going 70. So they're doing it constantly, but you don't notice it because they're moving. But we're doing 20 miles an hour, so you just notice a giant plume of smoke. Perfectly normal. So it's like usually like a whitish smoke. If it goes blue, though, something's wrong. If it's going blue, then you got fuel in there. And if it's going black, usually that engine's toast. So that's.
So when does it explode?
It won't explode.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, but that just means.
Regen, you just put it on higher RPMs and let it run.
Well, normally it should just happen normally in our normal operation. So there is a few buses that we have to manually do, and there is a button to set it up to regen. But normally in your normal operations, it should do it. We're trying tactically to get rid of all the diesels. There's rumors about some new buses coming. So we have about, I think, like 40, 50 diesel buses left. We're trying to phase them out. It's just, they're a lot to deal with.
Your diesel?
You can buy them. They're about $5,000. So, any other questions? We got 2 minutes. Yes.
Check engine lights come on to oil, but they said they got a date when it's time.
Good question. So a lot of our vehicles, you'll see it says time for an oil change. The reason is that the computer on most of our vehicles it's set up like on a schedule automatically. We have our own schedule. So you guys have your safety stickers every 6 months. So every 6 months they do it automatically. So if your little dash thing says oil change required, it's not. It's just that it's on its own like timetable that's different than ours. We have a schedule for all the buses of like maintenance A, B, C, and they have schedule for all the stuff. So I can guarantee you that it got done.
So
yes.
If it said change oil before the inspection and then change oil afterwards,
yeah,
it still got done.
Yeah. Just ignore it.
Okay.
So if they're on a schedule, that automatically gets done regardless of miles. And we're done. All right, thank you guys. Thank you for all that you do. We'll catch you next time. Tomorrow, ice cream social, 10 o'clock. There will be cherries and sprinkles and hot syrup, caramel. Yeah, we want to have you charge what you're supposed to and stuff like that. So double check with dispatch, make sure your times are correct. Make sure that we pay you for your time. I'll work with you on it. Just double check with dispatch.